What you see here is the result of an experiment in creating something called a bokeh wall. And this is something that I've wanted to try for a while, but I kept on making up excuses. Things like, the light isn't right, or I don't have time, or I'm too busy with my kids, or blah, blah, blah. Just a lot of excuses. And when I finally sat down to do this, I had about 10 minutes before leaving for work. This is morning. It was probably like 7:05 in the morning. I usually leave for work at 7:15. And my 4-year-old son had just finished breakfast, and I asked him if he wanted to help me with a bokeh wall. And his response might be like yours. His response was, "What is a bokeh wall?" So it's like this. A bokeh wall refers to, or the bokeh itself, it's a Japanese term, and it refers to the out-of-focus areas in the background of a picture. That's not what the word actually means, but that's how we use it in photography. So anytime you look at a portrait and you see the person in focus and the background is like all blurred out and not in focus, that's called bokeh. And a bokeh wall is when you make your own surface for background reflections like this. All you need is a wall and something to reflect light, or something that will stand out or be extra blurry and colorful, or somehow emphasize this blurriness in the background. It doesn't necessarily have to be shiny like this. I've seen bokeh walls where it's just like color splattered on a wall, but here I wanted something to reflect the light. And remember, I only had 10 minutes to do this. So I figured, why not try it? I found a toy box, or I found a toy train, this little wooden train here, in one of the toy boxes in our house, and I put it on our dining room table, and I put a vertical board behind it. It's a board that we got at Habitat for Humanity Restore for $2, and we use it for the kids to roll cars down. There's like a ramp kind of thing, and I put that board behind a chair, and I got out a sheet of aluminum foil, crumpled it up, and then straightened it out, kind of flattened it out, and then taped it to the board. The whole process of preparing this photo, I'm not kidding you, took about 5 minutes. And we were kind of scrambling right before I left for work to just give it a try and see what would happen. I set my camera on the table. I didn't even use a tripod. That was another one of my excuses. I thought, I have to bring out the tripod and I have to move stuff around. Nope. I just set my camera on the table, set it to f1.8 for a really sweet blurry background, lowered the ISO to 100, and took a shot at 1/20th of a second. One tip, if you're going to try this, use the self-timer on your camera to eliminate the shake of your hand pressing the shutter button. So I set the self-timer for 5 seconds, so that way my hand was not going to move the camera at all when I pressed the button. And that's it. That's all I did. Set the camera on the table and took a few pictures. You can see a picture of our whole setup. If you go to the blog, you'll see a picture that I took with my iPhone, and it looks like a joke. It looks like just some low budget basement operation. And that's what it was. It was so cool to get a picture like this with nothing. And it was fun to try. I'm looking forward to trying again. There's a few things I don't like about this photo, but I wanted to post this photo because it's the result of the first time we tried this. And there's, if you look at the train, you see like the cab is in focus and the front part is not, and then that little car it's towing is not in focus. I'd like to get the train itself a little more in focus, and I could do that by I could widen the depth of field by stopping down to like f2.8 or something, but then I wouldn't get the sweet out of focus background. And there's ways to compensate for that too. But the way this turned out, I'm so pleased with it for our very first attempt at this. And a little bit more about the photo. If you'll notice, the background is kind of two-toned. It's got yellow reflections and then white reflections. The white is coming from the light of the window that's outside right behind me as I'm taking this photo. The yellow is coming from the overhead chandelier, which then also gives the toy train a nice yellow glow from on top too. And it kind of looks like it's seamless. Like you can't really tell where the table ends and the bokeh wall begins, because the table, it's kind of shiny, and so it's got this nice reflective surface. And it just, man, I could go on about this. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. From a experimentation standpoint, we had no illusions. We, meaning my son and I, had no illusions that this would work out at all. And it kind of did. It's really cool. And I'm looking forward to trying more like it in the future. And the lesson here is, if you've got an idea, of something you want to try with photography, go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Even if it doesn't work out, and if you've seen something like last week I mentioned trying your own photograph where you spin a burning piece of steel wool above your head, even if you try something and it doesn't work out, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe you learn something new, and you can use that for future experiments. So maybe give this a shot. If you've never tried a bokeh wall, look at the picture on the blog of how we set this up. Super easy. Give it a try. In fact, if you try this, I'd be curious to see what you come up with. And if you could post a photo of your results in the comments below, that would be awesome too. And then we can all learn and grow as photographers.